Good morning, evening, afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. I'm pretty sure wherever you are indoors and staying home during this, I would say, interesting period. But at the same time, let's try to put some normalcy into the world and carry on at least some of the things which we can. So again, welcome to my 3D Value Network chats. And today I have with me Jeroen Nuiten, innovation specialist from BAM Infra Nederland. So little background on why I do these calls. And it really boils down to value networks and looking at what is going around in the world today is actually ironically very much similar to that. So if we don't come together and work together and collaborate in a very effective way, it is very difficult to innovate in the future. So in a way that you kind of forget who has a small pie, a small slice of a pie, instead of like, listen, look, we've got these big global problems. Let's work together and get things moving. And during these value network chats, I want to focus on one key topic per interview. And today I want to talk about 3D printing concrete at scale. So I want to give a little drum roll for Jeroen and give a little introduction about himself. What do you do? Why you do it? And how is the innovation happening at BAM Infra in Holland?
Hi, Janne. Thanks a lot for having me. So my name is Jeroen. I work as an innovation specialist at BAM Infra. What I try to do is take an idea and then create a new business out of it. And that's exactly what we've been trying to do with 3D printing of concrete. So it was an idea in 2017, and we created the bridge, and then from that we created a factory, and now we are doing multiple projects. So now it's more and more becoming a daily normal business for us.
Got it.
So that's the very interesting part to be working with.
Got it. So basically, you've been working 3 years in the concrete printing sector, and obviously, I can imagine there's a lot of other things coming into it as well, from digitizing construction in general. So let me really dive, right into the core of it. So what in your mind is still missing in order for us to get into scale with 3D printing concrete, in buildings, structures, all these different things? I would love to hear your background on that. What is missing?
So what I think from my perspective, a lot of building blocks are already there. So the mortar is there, the robots are there. I think it's about software development is one key part that needs to be taken a step further, so you actually can press a button and then everything works. At the moment, that's not the case. So you need people that know what to do and how to operate the system. I think that's the difficult part for now, but it's also something that it is not something that you cannot overcome. There are so many examples in other industries where you have knowledge from people that's put into a software and that then operates autonomously by itself. So I think. So the robot will still be a robot. The mortar will be the mortar. It's about getting the experience from the people that work with it into an automated process, and that really helps in scaling up this technology. That's one part of it. The other part, I think, is also there needs to be some norms in place. So I'm now talking about Europe and our situation here. So the government needs to approve what we're doing. And in order for them to be able to do it, they need to know what it is. So that's also a step that needs to be taken, I think.
Got it. Anyway, so what I understand from you a little bit is that software is the challenge and the local regulations for concrete. but at the same time, the way that you kind of going forward is taking different pieces of different industries that have already been proven. Let's say robotics, or certain software for the robotics. There's no point of start developing your own robot when somebody has already done it, or the certain software, and whether it's an automotive or aerospace industry, and you take these different building blocks, put it together, apply it in construction, and then try to get it regulated in order for us to get to scale, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Got it. And in your mind, so once we get to that place where everything is plug and play, there's a guys on the construction side pressing a button, machine starts making a house. What are the main benefits for you and your business on that? And what I mean by house, it's just an example, but I'm going to leave that to you. Is it going to be what is the one that you would really, really make, and where are the key benefits? Is it the bridge? Is it the house? Is it the wall? Is it the formwork? What is it?
Yeah. So a little bit about why we are in this. As a construction company, a lot of stuff is already digitized. So if you take a look at the engineering phase, everything is digitized. If you go to the asset management phase, everything is done with AI and blockchain and whatnot. But if you go to a construction site, you see a lot of people wearing helmets, and they use a lot of timber, and they create you a structure.
Yeah.
So that's something that we really want to change. So we want to digitize the execution phase. And the robot, basically a 3D robot printing concrete, is something that will help in that process. Because you only have one model. The model that you have in the digital twin world is also the one that you will get when you start printing it. So there's no discrepancy there, so which is a big advantage for a construction company. And because of the fact that you use 3D printing, you can really create a unique object. So you only put material there where you need it, which means you save a lot of material, which in turn saves a lot of CO2. And then last but not least, now you can create mass-produced unique objects, which in the past would be, so if you know about a technology called parametric modeling, basically what you say to a computer, based on this and this parameter, give me the optimal design. In the past you could create a design but never build it because it was too expensive. And now you have this technology which can create anything you want without any extra cost. So we're looking at objects that are basically high value objects, what we call them. So normally you would take a lot of handwork, a lot of formwork, a lot of time. Those are very interesting objects to look at if we could print them. So we've done smaller, bigger bridges, but also we're looking into houses, and now we did skate ramps, and also very big outflow bins. So basically unique stuff that normally would take a lot of handwork, and now it's just a couple of days printing, and then you save a lot of time and a lot of man hours. And I don't know how it is in the US, but in Holland nobody wants to work in a construction site anymore. So we don't have the people, we don't have the budget. We need to automate it.
Absolutely.
And
right.
then anything we do on saving man hours is hugely beneficial.
Yeah, it's more. Let's say I would say it's a more appealing for a Z generation person to get a degree in robotics in 3D in construction than being the master mason of laying butter between bricks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And another key point is that it's much safer.
You mentioned
in our industry
to me before.
Yeah,
Safety,
people are still killed. So if we can remove that anyhow, that would be super. Yeah.
Great. And then just to add on your comment on the software part, that everything else kind of in the back end is already digitized, but the construction process itself not. So I just want to give a little comment on that. During my visit at the fair in Vegas at the World of Concrete, And what, to my astonishment, I saw like every second booth was a software company. But it was not about the back-end tools, but it was actually trying to simplify the complexity on the construction side. And my key question for these companies was like, well, why are you focusing on simplifying the complexity instead of taking complexity out of the equation, entirely? So it's still, there's a lot of companies trying to build on kind of incrementally trying to improve the bad system that we have. But once every step is digitized, then we can actually, get to scale and get this whole thing going all around the planet.
Yeah, exactly. I think these kind of technologies, you need to think completely different. You need to start at the end, basically, because normally we would do an engineering process and then start the building process. Now you need to start at the building process, because that's what you get.
Yeah, I'm going to really look at the high-level strategy. If we were to completely make everything from scratch and look at the top of the pyramid, and how do you do that? And I can also imagine in a big company, it's very, very challenging because, what you mentioned before, that you have all this heritage for, decades and decades within these companies. And, then the innovation specialist comes like, you know what, let's scrap that and, start from a clean slate. You're going to create a lot of enemies internally. And I can imagine it's a very difficult political environment to play with. So maybe you can share me a couple of minutes on that. How do you get these kinds of projects going within a very big company that has a long heritage?
It's a struggle to get people on board. I think in any company, in any situation, there's not. I've never had the experience that there was somebody there with loads of money that just poured it in the idea and then it happened. It took a lot of talks and good cups of coffee. And what helps me a lot is something called storytelling. It's a strategy, basically it's a marketing strategy that is used often. But if you combine storytelling with something called creating a value proposition, then basically create a good story about it, then you have a big chance that people will have more buy-in in what you're trying to do. So for us, getting the small bridge in a prototype in a working situation, that gave a really big boost, because then people understood it could happen.
And especially when the internal people can start reading about it in the media. If the media is posting about it, like, hey, whoa, it's actually all of a sudden it's real. I'm like, yeah, okay, see, told you so.
Yeah. So that I think that really helps. We're not trying to do stuff in the media that is not real. So it needs to be there, and we need to have a real innovative idea. But I think the difference from the past for our company is that we never did sought out a lot of media attention. That wasn't. So we did a lot of cool stuff, but we never told anybody about it. And I think that's really changing a bit. So we're trying to do it at the same time.
Got it. Okay. And I want to wind back to my first sentence regarding this, the entire interview and boiling down to value networks. So my question to you is that how important are these, whether you call it ecosystem or a value network or a partnership or collaboration or whatever you like, how important are these kinds of value networks for you? So I wanted to quickly dive into your collaboration with Webex and Weber and Bearmix when it comes down to concrete, and what other kinds of similar collaborations might you have going on that you realize, like, listen, it's far more beneficial and effective to do it with somebody else than us starting from scratch. Like I said before, like, hey, there's no point us starting a robotics company when the robots already exist. So let's partner up, work together, and make something useful.
So collaboration in this ecosystem is absolutely key. We couldn't have done it without it, I would say. in 2017, we when we first wanted to create a bridge, we went to the university in Eindhoven, and then the guy working there said, "Okay, I'm collaborating with a couple of companies you might be interested in talking to." So we were talking to Witteveen and Bos, we were talking to BKR, Weber BMX, and a couple of more. And that became basically a group of companies that really wanted to succeed in creating that first bridge. We started talking about NDAs and IP and stuff like that. And then after 6 months, I stopped it because the bridge was already finished and we were still talking about that stuff. So it doesn't really help. I think the most important part is that you want to work together, and that you also that you're not trying to protect stuff, but you're just building on each other's idea, which makes 1 and 1 is 3.
And we're living in such interesting times in this, specifically in that point that you mentioned, like NDAs and stuff like that, so instead of everybody worrying, what's my slice going to be like, guys, whoa, hold up. Let's first make a pie. If the pie is big enough, everybody will be happy.
Yeah, it will happen. And but you need to, sort of in that consortium, there was also another building company, another construction company. So it was pretty awkward a bit to talk about innovating together. And in the end, we agreed on, okay, if you do these kind of projects, that's your field, and we will focus on these kind of projects because that's what we're interested in. So if you want to collaborate, you can, but it really takes an open mind. And as I said, we started the work in January. We were finished in September-ish. We could never have that speed if we would be dug in the trenches and
NDAs and contracts and all this kind of thing. I totally agree. But it's so hard in many companies, still to kind of have that kind of open innovation mindset, even though every single graph and statistics and everything shows you, how much more beneficial it is. But how quickly then do you see that, let's say you're in these first meetings with a potential value network partner, and you go, you know what, these guys, it's just not going to happen. They're way too far, and they still want to have a black and white contracts, and because we don't even know fundamentally what we're building yet. It's more like, hey, let's just try something. So how quickly do you normally see, or do you see in these first meetings, like who those partners are, and is it going to work or not?
I think you immediately get a feeling if they're serious or not serious. What can also happen is that somebody's more serious than yourself, so that you cannot keep up with the pace.
It's a luxury.
You need to. Okay, but then you need to think about what do I want. But basically, I think so. So what happened is that everybody wanted to contribute, and some can contribute more than others. And in the end, if the results are fine, that's fine. Maybe it's okay that some do more than others. And then when the time's right, the other one company will be more involved than other companies. So it could also change in that way.
Got it.
But not every company is so for us, we are very interested in this technology because it really helps us. But I can imagine that for other companies, it's not that important. That they need to sell whatever is product that they're selling. But if you're open and transparent about it, that's no problem.
Got it. Cool. Hey, I really want to thank your time for the 15 minutes, and I have one last question. Anything I failed to ask, which you thought that I might have asked, or something that would really add value for people who are listening to this? What would you have as your final your words of wisdom to close it off?
Yeah, well, words of wisdom, I'm not sure, but what my experience is that it really helps if you create an environment or have an environment where you can fail, where you can make mistakes and not have a big problem by doing so.
Yeah.
So if you learn, if you learn fast by failing fast, that is the best you can do. I think we were lucky to have a university backing us up, and where we can create prototypes that can just break, and that's no problem.
Yeah.
But that's I would encourage people, innovators out there, to that we should create these ecosystems where it's allowed, where you are people are proud of you when you fail. That would be super, I think. Yeah.
Got it. So creating ecosystems where people are proud to fail. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
All
right.
Stand up.
Thanks for your time, and I'd love to kick projects this year, also going forward with you guys. So I think we'll be talking much more in email. So and stay safe, stay indoors with this virus going on, and hopefully everything will turn out better for everybody in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, Janne. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye bye.